prospects for life will be ruined if they should do it. It would be easier for them to hobble to town with a broken leg than with a broken family. Often, if an accident happens to a gentleman's legs, they can be mended. But if a similar accident happens to the legs of his pantaloons, there is no help for it. For he considers not what is truly respectable, but what is respected. We know but few men a great many coats and breeches. Dress a scarecrow in your last ship. You standing shiftless by, who would not soon salute to the scarecrow. Passing a cornfield the other day, close by had a coat on a stake. I recognized the owner of the farm. He was only a little more weather-beaten than when I saw him last. I've heard of a dog that barked at every stranger who approached his master's premises with clothes on, but was easily quieted by a naked thief.
That's good. You've read Emma, do you mind starting there?
It is an interesting question how far men would retain their relative rank if they were divested of their clothes. Could you, in such a case, tell surely of any company of civilized men, which belong to the most respected class, when Madame
Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer, in her adventurous travels around the world from east to west, had got so near home as Asiatic Russia. She says that she felt the necessity of wearing other than a traveling dress when she went to meet the authorities, for she was now in a civilized country where people are judged by their clothes. Even in their democratic New England towns, the accidental possession of wealth and its manifestation in dress and equipage alone obtained for the possessor almost universal respect. But they who yield such respect, numerous as they are so far heathen, and each have a missionary sent to them. Beside clothes and introduce sewing, a kind of work which you may call endless, almost at least is never done.
He's going to say some other things about clothes that are kind of interesting, but we'll keep reading. Would you read, Sarah?
A man who has at length found something to do will not need to get a new suit to do it in. For him the old will do, that has lain dusty in the garment for an
Indeterminate.
period. Old shoes will serve a hero longer than they serve his valet. If a hero ever has a valet, bare feet are older than shoes, and he can make them do. Only they who go to
Soirees.
and legislative halls must have new clothes and coats to change as often as the man changes in them. But if my jacket and trousers, my hat and shoes are fit to worship God in, they will do. Will they not? Whoever saw his old clothes, his old coat actually worn out, resolved into its primitive elements, so that it was not a deed of charity to bestow on it some poor boy by his perchance to be bestowed on some poor still. Or shall we have richer who could do with less? I say, beware of all enterprise that require new clothes, and not rather a new layer of clothes. If prices that require new clothes,
Yeah, if there's not a new man,
if there is not a new man, how can the new clothes be made to fit? If you have an enterprise before you, try to do it in your old clothes. All men want not something to do with, but something to do, or rather something to be. Perhaps we should never procure a new suit, however ragged or dirty the old, until we have so conducted, so enterprised, or sailed in some way that we feel like a new man in the old. But that to retain it would be like keeping a new wine in old bottles. Our molting season, like that of the fowls, must be in a crisis in our lives. The loose retires to solitary ponds to spend it. Thus also the snake casts its slough, and the caterpillar its wormy coat. By an internal industry and expansion, for clothes are but our outmost cuticle and mortal coil. Otherwise we shall be found sailing under false colors, and by inevitably cashiered at last by
thank you. Look at number 9. It says, what does he think about clothes? He's hard to understand. You might not even want to understand him, but I think there's a value in the discipline of trying to do so. He says at least one thing about clothes that's, in my book, pretty interesting. What does he say? Well, let me read it to you. I want you to underline it. That would mean you'd need a pencil to do this. He says on page 22, I don't know, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 or 8 lines from the bottom. I want you to underline it. It says if, that one word if there is not a new man, how can the new clothes be made to fit? If you have any prize before you, try on your old clothes. All men want to do something with, but something to do, or rather something to be. He basically says, and there's another one I was trying to, he says, do not buy a new set of clothes until you change the person that you are. So you shouldn't have new clothes unless there's some change within you. What's the importance we put on clothes? What's the importance we put on clothes in our society?
To retain.
Well, that's not the reason. I mean,
To cover our body.
what? I can't hear you.
Status.
You say fashion?
To cover your body.
Status. All right. Thoreau is the kind of guy that doesn't care about status, and he certainly doesn't want status based on your appearance. He wants status based on your, you need to keep that on, all right?
So, yeah.
Yeah, it usually does when you pull it. So don't pull it. I know the feeling. I had the same problem. So don't put on something on the outside to cover what's missing on the inside. He's all about what's on the inside. And the inside will be shown by your behavior, not the kind of clothes you wear. What's your turn?
Yes. We don garment after garment as if we grew like, oh, what's that?
Exogenous?
Exogenous plants by addition without. Our outside and often thin and fanciful clothes are our epidermis or false skin.
What's an epidermis? All right.
Oh. Which partakes not of our life and may be stripped off here and there without fatal injury. Our thicker garments, constantly worn, are our cellular integument or cortex, but our shirts and our liver or true bark, which cannot be removed without girdling and destroying the man. I believe that all races at some seasons wear wear something equivalent to the shirt. It is desirable that a man be clad so simply that he can lay his hands on himself in the dark, and that he live in all respects so compactly and preparedly. What is that one? Preparedly, that if an enemy take the town, he can, like the old philosopher, walk out the gate empty-handed without anxiety, while one thick garment is for most purposes as good as 3 thin ones, and cheap clothing can be obtained at prices really to suit customers, while a thick coat can be bought for $5, which will last as many years. Thick pantaloons for $2, cowhide boots for $1.50 a pair, a summer hat for $0.25, and a winter cap for 62.5 cents. or better be made at home at a nominal cost, where he is so poor that clad in such a suit of his own earning, there will not be found wise men to do him reverence.
Okay, Ryan.
When I ask for a garment of a particular form, my tailoress tells me gravely, they do not make them so now, not emphasizing the they at all, as if she put in authority as impersonal as the fates. And I find it difficult to get made what I want, simply because she cannot believe that I mean when I say that I am so rash. When I hear this oracular sentence, I am for a moment absorbed in thought, emphasizing to myself each word separately that I may come at the meaning of it, that I may find out by what degree of consanguinity they are related to me, and what authority they may have in an affair which affects me so nearly. And finally, I'm inclined to answer her with equal mystery and without any more emphasis of the they. It is true they did not make them so recently, but they do now. Of what use this measuring of me if she does not measure my character, but only the breadth of my shoulders, as it were a peg to hang the coat on. We worship not the grace nor the parquet, but fashion. She spines and weaves and cuts with full authority. The head monkey at Paris puts on a traveler's cap, and all the monkeys in America do the same. I sometimes despair of getting anything quite simple and honest done in the world by the help of men. They would have to be passed through a powerful press first to squeeze their old notions out of them, so that they would not soon get upon their legs again, and then there would be someone in the company with a maggot in his head, hatched from an egg deposited there nobody knows when, for not even fire kills these things, and you would have lost your labor. Nevertheless, we would not forget that some Egyptian wheat was handed down to us by a mummy.
Right, Lily.
On the whole, I think that it cannot be maintained that dressing has in this or any country risen to the dignity of an art. At present, men make shift to wear what they can get. Like shipwrecked sailors, they put on what they can find on the beach and at a little distance, weather or space or time. Laugh at each other's masquerade. Every generation laughs at the old fashions, but follows religiously the new. We are amused at beholding the costume of Henry VIII or Queen Elizabeth, as much as if it was of the king or queen of the Cannibal Islands. All costume of a man is pitiful or grotesque. It is only the serious eyes peering from and the sincere life passed within it, which retrain laughter and consecrate the costume of any people. Let Harlequin be taken with a fit of the colic, and his trappings will have to serve that mood too. When the soldier is hit by a cannonball, rags are as becoming as purple.
I promise you one thing that's gonna happen to you is when you have children and they go to school and they get a yearbook and they look at your yearbook and they're gonna laugh at you. They're gonna laugh at what you're wearing, they're gonna laugh at your hair, and because he said right here, every generation laughs at the old fashions, but follows religiously the new. And so you're gonna have to be in that position that you're in right now, and you look at your, you're looking at your parents' pictures from college, high school, and it looks so old-fashioned, because that's his point. Why waste your time on things that always go out of date? If they ain't even designed to go out of date. They say about ties that, what can a tie do? I mean, a tie is a tie, right? You can only do two things, you get wider, you get thinner. And some generations, it's wide, and it looks really ridiculous to us, and then some generation it gets really narrow, and it's just, I mean, what can you do? Different patterns, but the shape for a man's tie has basically always been the same. So he's just trying to make a point. Sometimes it takes forever to make the point, it seems to us. But don't waste your time on fashion. We just one more. If you could read the next paragraph, that'd be great.
The childish and savage taste of men and women for new patterns keeps on shaking instinctively kaleidoscopes that they may discover a particular figure versus generation of Christ today. Manufacturers have learned that this taste is merely whimsical. Up to patterns which differ only by a few threads, more or less of a particular color. The one won't be sold readily, the other lie on the shelf. It frequently happens that after the lapse of the season, lavender becomes the most fashionable. Compared to fleece, hatching is not the hideous custom which it is called. It is not barbaric.
you mind just finishing it? We got 3 minutes, just fill that break there, Julian.
I cannot believe that transport system is the best known by which men transit clothing. The condition of the operatives is becoming every day more like that of the English, and it is not even wonder that, since, as far as I have heard or observed, the principle how they did. Not that manufacturing may be well and honestly flat, but unquestionably that the corporations may be rich. In the long run, men can only what they aim at. Therefore, though they should down immediately, they can better aim at something high.
You realize that a lot of the companies, whatever they make is designed to become obsolete, so you'll buy something new. It's only designed to work for a short period of time or be fashionable, then it's not usable. So its purpose is to make other people rich. Not ready yet. Alright, those vocabulary are due on Friday, and Kane, I need to see you. I did find out. Don't go ahead. What are we gonna do? We're not gonna-
What?